As you guys have realized, I like to take just a second and make sure that everything is lining up on the Facebook. I know it's a tad behind, so I start the live a little bit early and then wait for Facebook to catch up. And there I am. Okay, yay. All right, so welcome to Indie Strong, Becoming Stronger Authors Together. I am your host, Jennifer McMurrian. And if you would take just a moment to hit either that like, laugh, love button on Facebook or that thumbs up button on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, sharing is caring. So if you would share these videos, again, I would very much appreciate it. I see Mary. Mary is always kind of my litmus test to see if it's working or not. She's all like, I'm here. And I'm like, yay. So, and yes, I have a harmonica in my hand. My daughter left it on my desk and I was just kind of playing around. And now, I'm a talker with my hand and I have to have things in my hands. It's so weird. Speaking of things in my hands, let me tell you about my morning. Oh my goodness. So last night, my cat, Allie, was being very needy, and we truly believe that she is still very much grieving for her friend Abby that passed away a couple of weeks ago. We are all still grieving. We miss her very much. And so she was being extra needy and she crawled up on my lap and I was petting her. And then I saw this little black bug on my thumb. And I was like, no, it was a flea. I'm positive it was a flea. We had a flea infestation like 3-4 years ago and when the kiddo was little and it was awful. And so we know what happens. The dog is outside most of the time. She comes inside during storms and stuff. She sleeps inside and she brings them in with her. So we know how it happens. But anyway, so I told my husband, Mike, I said, it's time. The cat needs, she needs the pill. And so this morning, while my daughter was in class, Mike and I sat down, and my son was already at nap, and we sat down and shoved a pill down the cat's throat. And if you've ever tried to give a cat a pill, it is an unpleasant experience. There was hissing and spitting and clawing and biting, and then the cat got involved. It was not fun. And I'm kind of allergic to cats. I have a mild allergy. And so she's puffing up, but she's throwing her dander and her hair everywhere. And I'm surprised I'm not a big puffy mess right now. Pet ownership, so much fun. No, we love our cats. We do not love fleas though. Ugh. So I highly recommend that flea pill if you have a problem. That's really the only way to get rid of them. Okay, moving on from the cats. All right, I like to tell a little story, give everybody some time to show up. All right, so today I want to talk about writers' groups. And I know there are a lot of opinions that vary on this topic, and some people feel like they are a huge waste of time, heavy on the ego, and that there's not really enough companionship to justify them. But today I would really like to share the benefits of what makes a good writers' group, why I feel like you should join them, and a little bit of the knowledge to know whether or not you're in a good place or not when it comes to your writing group. Writing itself is a solitary profession. Sure, we have like our book signings and our conferences when we're not in, a pandemic quarantine, but we also have social media where we connect with people. But the bulk of our career is spent in front of the computer alone, living in a world that only we know. Even though we are surrounded by characters and different peoples in our head, it can be very lonely. So, where writers are really encouraged to keep their heinies in the chair and their fingers on the keyboard, I really want to encourage you to go out and find a writers group. And yes, this may be something that you have to do after the social distancing lets up a little bit. It might be something that you want to wait to do until the virus a little bit more contained. And I understand that. This is just something that I really feel strongly about because, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you the because, but I know it's not something that you might be able to jump on immediately. There are online groups too if you're looking for something quickly. Okay, so just keep that in mind too. But in person, I'm really talking about in person today. I'm really talking about that one-on-one connection. So hopefully we can find some way to be able to connect with people sooner rather than later, because I know we all need that as a pack animal that we are. Okay, here we are. Here are the reasons that I feel personally that you should. And yep, see, look, I got that harmonica again. I can't help it. I have to have something in my hands. So here are the reasons I feel that joining a writers group is more. Oh gosh, the word just went right out of my brain. I hate it when that happens. That is definitely not a perk of being live. Um, it definitely has more perks than cons. And here are the reasons I believe that. So, A, writers need support. We need to be around other people who get the trials of a complicated plot twist and the thrill of finally figuring out that perfect ending. You need people that get you, and you need your writing tribe. And that's usually found when you get into a good writing group. Now, Bartlesville is the first place that I was able to make true friends as an adult that weren't connected to my husband's work. It's like I made them on my own. Making friends as a kid is so much easier. It's like you see another kid playing on the swings and you're like, I like swings. They like swings. Boom, friends. So easy. I think we need to swing more. Oh, maybe not. That has another meaning. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. See, going live. Monkey bars? Is that better? I don't know. Anyway, maybe I was going to say maybe we need to have more playtime, but that can be taken wrong as well. So I'm just going to shut up and move on. Anyway, once I joined the Word Weavers, which is our local writing group here in Bartlesville, I knew I had found my tribe. I had found people that would have my back for the long haul. Not only can you really make some great friends joining a writers group, but it's a wonderful way to network. Having a writers group means you kind of have that built-in support system, that street team that will help you get the word out about your writing. That networking also allows you to learn from other people in your field. I know I definitely wouldn't be where I am today had it not been for people sharing with me what they had learned. A lot of people see this as a career and they see other writers, because it is a career, but they see other writers as competition. And I really don't believe this. I really believe we're all colleagues because rarely do I find a reader that only reads one author. I mean, that's just a really rare find. There are enough readers for us all. So if you have a tip that will help other authors, share it when they ask. You're not giving away trade secrets here. We should be able to help each other out because we're colleagues. We're not competitors. We want to see each other do well. Hey, Amy, thank you. She said it's a great topic. Good. I'm glad because I really do believe in writers groups. I belong to 4. 2 I belong to that I'm really well involved in. 1 I belong to that I'm pretty much involved in, and 1 I'm really just kind of a participant. So, but I like being around those other like-minded people. And also, creativity begets creativity. Being around other creative people and hearing their stories, well, it's just contagious. I'm not saying to plagiarize your group's ideas. I'm not saying that, but it's hard not to be inspired when you're around other people who are excited about their ideas. You should walk away from these meetings feeling excited about getting in front of the keyboard and writing because that feeling in the air, that creativity, that atmosphere of building worlds and creating these stories, well, it's just contagious. Anyway, it is to me. Anytime I'm around a bunch of people writing, even if it's on Facebook and I see people so excited about the book that they just finished and they're launching it, I'm excited for them. And it makes me want to go to the computer and finish a story so I can take part in that part of that excitement and stuff. So it really is contagious. That creativity is contagious. And of course, writing is rewriting. It's all about building off of what you have and making it better. And writing groups allow you to spot what works and what doesn't. That way you're not wasting your time trying to create a backstory for a character when the group tells you that they're pretty insignificant and should probably just be killed off in some way. Feedback will make you a better writer. It should make you a better writer. Having this feedback time also teaches you how to give good critiques and also how to take constructive criticism. As a writer, it's important to be able to take feedback. As I said before, writing is rewriting and it takes guts. You have to have the guts to tell your writing partner what doesn't work in a way that is helpful. And you have to have guts to take it relatively well when they tell you something about your manuscript that's not working. I have found there are 3 stages to accepting constructive criticism, especially in the beginning. Stage 1 is sorrow. The, oh my gosh, why am I even doing this? Why am I writing? Why am I doing this to myself? I'm awful at it. So why? Why am I even trying? I'm done. I'm done. So it's sorrow. Stage 2 is the anger and denial phase. The, how dare they say that about my story? I mean, who are they anyway? I mean, come on. Why are they even judging me? Whole anger denial. And then stage 3 is acceptance. This is when you usually have let it set for a little bit, a few days, and then you reread what they said and realize that maybe they had a few points. Receiving a critique is a lot like going to a buffet. You're going to pick up that plate, but some of the things you're going to put on it and you're going to be like, yes, this is yummy. I love this. And you're going to devour it. And other things you're going to say, you know what? I don't really like that. No, thank you. And it's entirely up to you what part of that feedback you take and what part of that feedback you say, no, I think I'm going to leave that right there. Trust your gut. This is your story. So you write it your way. But if all of your critique partners are going, I don't understand this part, rework it where they understand it. You don't have to change it, but you do need to rework it because, again, writing is rewriting. And the final thing on feedback, before I move on back to writers groups in general, I want to emphasize that it should be constructive criticism. If your partner is telling you that you're writing slop, that is not constructive criticism. That is just being hurtful. If you're telling people that they're writing slop, you're not being helpful. So if you have those partners and you walk away from that meeting feeling disheartened, somebody is getting ice in the kitchen. I wonder who that might be. Could that be my daughter? See, it's all the perks of going live, people. Anyway, let's go back to, we were talking about constructive criticism. Now, if you're in a critique group or in your writing group and you walk away from that group feeling awful and feeling like you just did not get the support that you needed, or if they put you down, if they've called your work or you slop, that is not helpful. You don't need that in your life, and it's okay to walk away from that writers group. If you're in a group and you're not feeling like they're your tribe, if you're not feeling like they're helpful, it's okay to walk away. Now, that doesn't mean that the other people in the group might not try to convince you to stay and that everything will be better and stuff like that. But you need to do what's right for you. And like I said, if you're in a group and you walk away feeling more disheartened than encouraged, find a new group. Okay. The goal of feedback is not to tear each other apart. It's to help each other out. All right. You also need to know what you're looking for when you are looking for a group. What do you want to get out of the group? If you're needing a critique group, which I highly suggest that you have one, because content editing is something that you need to do before you publish your book, and your critique group is who will help you with that content editing. So content editing is when you find all those plot holes and those things that were in your head that didn't quite make it on paper. Your critique group are the people that should find those. So, sorry, I was looking at the comments over here, and all good stuff. So I like to kind of look over there just to make sure that I'm not leaving anybody in the dust. I will never forget the time I was talking and nobody could hear me, and I'm just jabbering away. So you want to know what to get out of a group. And if you're looking for a critique group, those people to find those plot holes, then it has been my experience that a group of 2 or 3 work best. Actually, 3 or 4. Sorry, 3 or 4 work best. If you get too many critiques in the writing kitchen, then they're going to contradict each other. And during that discussion, there might be more time spent on why their version is right and the other person is wrong than actually helping the person out and making the writing better. So I have found that 3 to 4 people work best when it's a critique group. I also feel that it's okay to have critique partners that write outside of your genre. So you don't necessarily, if you write romance, you don't necessarily have to have only romance writers be in your critique group. My critique group, there are 3 of us that are there every week. And we write a variety of things from magical realism to romance to inspirational. I dabble in horror, and sometimes I force that on them, but they always read with an open mind. So as long as your partners are willing to read with an open mind, it really doesn't matter what genre that they write. Now, if you have a horror novelist reading romance and she's already stated she hates romance, then that's probably not going to be a good fit. But having critique partners that have an open mind in different genres, they might help you see a plot hole or think of a twist that you didn't, that might even work better for your work. So critique groups should meet often. That's the other thing. They are definitely a commitment. Critique groups should meet often. It's really the only way to keep up with the quantity that is required for being a successful indie author. It is really hard to get through a 30 chapter novel if your group is only meeting once a month, unless you're just reading a ton of pages that month. And to me, that's pretty bogging. I'd rather go meet once a week and read a chapter or two than read half a book. It just gets really bogged down for me that way. My critique group, we meet once a week. Even during this quarantine, we have met once a week via, I think there's only 1 week we didn't meet, but we have met with Google Hangouts, and we've critiqued each other's stuff. And it's really important to meet in person so that you can hear tone, so that you're not feeling like you're just being bogged down by all the negativity. That way a person can say something like, you know what, this really didn't work for me and this is why. And you can hear their tone and know that they're trying to be helpful and not read it in, this really didn't work for me and this is why. So tone is a huge thing, especially when feedback is being given. So we meet once a week, and don't get me wrong, we talk, we gossip, we giggle. Sometimes we cry before critiquing. It is definitely part socializing and part critiquing. But they're my biggest supporters, and they are a crucial part of my writing process. And I know I could not do it without them. But if you're just looking for more support and encouragement, maybe you already have that critique group, or maybe you don't feel that's a thing that you need, which I would suggest that you do have those extra eyes on it. But anyway, moving on. If you're just looking for if you're just looking for support and encouragement, as well as networking and hopefully some education opportunities, then you might look for a small local group. As I said before, I belong to the small group here in Bartlesville called the Word Weavers. We have about 20 to 30 paid members, but only about a dozen come to each meeting. It's a really cozy feel. We can all talk about our writing projects because we can literally give everybody a moment to speak. So that's the difference between having a small local group and one of those big national groups. We have time to free chat where people aren't talking over each other, and we can discuss different aspects of the publication world and their stories, because being in a group that's so small, even without critiquing, they can tell us, hey, I got this story, I'm having a hard time with it, and we can kind of brainstorm all together and not be just talking one over the other. We have a few educational workshops, maybe twice a year. And I actually feel like we get more out of them because we can pick the speaker's brain, because there's less of us trying to buy for time. And it's a very intimate setting. So I walk away from those meetings feeling encouraged both in the professional sense and in the emotional sense, because I really do consider those folks my friends. I know them. I know what they're going through in their lives. I know what they're writing. I know their trials and tribulations with that. And so I really do consider them my friends. And so I always walk away from those meetings feeling a lot better about life in both the personal aspect and the professional one. But there are definitely perks to joining larger groups like SCBWI, that is the Society for Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. I hope I got that right. Or like the Mystery Writers of America. That one's a lot easier to say. I'm talking like thousands of members big. There are perks to being part of those really large national organizations. And one of the biggest perks, of course, is networking, meeting people outside of your area. And the biggest of them all, education. An organization like SCBWI, who has thousands of members paying dues, they can bring in big names like Mo Willems or Meg Cabot, where the Word Weavers, we would never be able to swing something like that. We just don't have the cash. We just don't have the dues coming in order to afford that. I just recently saw a friend of mine who is a member of SCBWI. She was doing a virtual workshop with Henry Winkler and his editor. The Fonz, people. She was chatting with the Fonz. I don't know if they were chatting or if they were just doing a workshop, but She had the fonts on her screen and he was talking to her. Hello. Anyway, couldn't swing that for the word weavers, even if Henry Winkler seems like he's the nicest guy ever. So that is one of the biggest perks of being a member of one of those large organizations. And they do throw some really excellent conferences that are worth the money if you have it. So find your writers group. I know, like I said before, it's ironic. I'm telling you to find a writers group. We're all supposed to be social distancing. I get that. But a lot of groups are meeting online, and that may be a way to kind of fill them out, maybe a little bit easier to fill them out. I know most of us feel we can be more of ourselves behind the computer screen. And if we just want to sit and listen, it's easier to do that online because if they don't see you, it's easier to be forgotten about. And then you don't have that awkward moment where annoying presidents like me, president of the Word Weavers, that I try to involve everybody in the conversation. So even those people that are just kind of sitting over there, I'm all like, hey, what do you think, Linda? Linda is a member that we had. She moved, but she really hated it when I asked her questions because she didn't like talking in front of people. But I always felt like I was leaving her out. So I know. As I said before, though, and I really want to reiterate this, if you feel like your writers group is a hostile environment, leave. You don't owe anybody any explanations for it. If you're not walking away from that group feeling empowered and more creative and lifted up, then you need to leave. We do enough damage on ourselves internally that we don't need outside people to do that. There are plenty of writers groups out there. Find one that works for you. Y'all, I'm actually kind of ahead on time today. I don't know if I'm just talking fast or if I'm going on less rabbit trails. It's probably the rabbit trail one. So if you don't find one in your area, you can try fishing on the internet for a group. But I really want to reiterate that the in-person thing is super helpful, especially if you're doing feedback and critiques because of tone. Tone can be misread. Oh my goodness. There have been so many times that I have said something and it has been taken in a tone that I didn't intend. And then I've had to go back and be like, look, that's not what I meant. I hope you're reading this in a tone of, concern and not one of mad. So I try very hard not to use the all caps when I'm talking on Facebook so people don't think I'm yelling at them, even if I'm just really excited. So tone is so hard, you guys, even in a text. My sister and I had a tiff over something, and I don't even remember what it was now because there was tone was implied on my end. And I was just like, well, fine. And she was like, that's not what I meant. So as soon as we got on the phone and talked about it, we were fine because there was tone. So especially with critiquing, being able to look at the person and hear their voice and hear their tone, I really feel like that's something that needs to be done. The discussion part of it needs to be done face-to-face, if not, Google Hangouts or Zoom or whatever you decide is your software of choice. So if you can't find a writers group, I say start one. Just a couple of friends getting together at first, and then it might just snowball into something that is, your baby and really encouraging to you. So, all right, time for our moment of Jen. So, and this kind of goes right along with the writers group things. One of the writers groups that I belong to is the Oklahoma Writers Federation Incorporated. And it is one of those organizations where I have been heavily involved, as in being a part of the executive board. And lately, after I had my son, I was just kind of involved and I've been trying to kind of pick that up. So it is kind of what you would say like a mid-large group. There are hundreds of members, and we do throw a conference. Unfortunately, it had to be canceled due to the COVID pandemic. But I want the important word there is we. Even though right now I'm just a delegate, I'm just somebody that goes to an occasional meeting and I go to the conference and I try to be somewhat involved online. But I very much feel like when I'm a part of that group that I'm a part of a we, even though I'm not the executive board. So that's the kind of feeling that you should be getting out of writers groups. And OWFI is definitely one of those where you go and it's not just about the education, even though the education is great, it is really about the people. And so I really missed my writing friends this weekend. A large part of that conference, though, is the awards banquet for the OWFI writing contest. They have 34 different categories, both for nonfiction, fiction, articles, published, non-published, humor. They have a ton. So if you like writing contests, go check them out at www.owfi.org. They have their categories up every year. They leave their categories up all year, so you can use those as writing exercises. That's what I do. Basically just draw one out of a hat and try to write that genre. People often wonder why I enter or how I enter so many categories. That's how. So that's a good point. I just looked over and Amy asked, how do you find a group? Word of mouth is the biggest, easiest way to find a group. I found the Word Weavers by going to my local library and asking. That's how a lot of our new members have found us. They just went to the library and said, hey, do you know of any writers groups? Of course, you can search online. The Google is always there, but sometimes those smaller groups get buried. So go to your local library. Search for like writing groups in your area on Facebook. A lot of times they'll have a Facebook page. So I didn't think about this question earlier, so I didn't have my notes on this. But yeah, I would say the local library is your biggest asset there. Check out your paper, your local paper. We'll write a story about the Word Weavers that won at the contest this weekend. And, you know, if you see stuff like that, a lot of times we'll have a notice in the paper. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It just kind of depends on the day, that month. We're kind of bad about that one. But look in the library, look in the paper under the calendar and see if there's something there. Look for articles about what the writing group in your area is doing. So local library would definitely be my first. Newspaper would be my second. And then kind of searching social media would be my third. And then my Google would be my fourth. So because Google is going to pull up, if you're looking for a writers group, they're going to pull up, you know, Mystery Writers of America or SCBWI or one of those first before they pull up, say, the Word Weavers. So that would be how to find one. And then, you know, just get in touch with the contact person and say, hey, I would like to check you out. I would recommend you don't pay dues until you've gone at least twice. If they are forcing you to pay money the minute you walk in the door, that's probably not the best environment. I know I can only speak for the Word Weavers when I'm just like, you know what, just relax. See if this is for you first. Because I really hate people to pay money and then never come again because it wasn't for them, and that's okay. I try not to. I used to take that personally. I try not to anymore. Sometimes it's just not a good fit, and that's okay. So that is how you find a group. Library. Those librarians. And I'm not just saying this because I used to be one. Those librarians, they are handy dandy people. Let me tell you, they know things. They know lots of things, and if they don't know it, they know how to look it up. They know how to find it like that. So they're pretty nifty. Okay, so let me see. I should have looked for questions before I started my moment of Jen. I need to get better at that. So let me see if there are any other questions. We've got 12 comments. Wow. All right. Okay, I'm not seeing any more right offhand, but sometimes it doesn't show me all the comments, which I just find annoying. Part of the reason to do this live is so that I can see the comments. Okay. Alrighty then. So the moment of Jen, OWFI weekend, the writing awards happened. They held these virtually. They did a phenomenal job. I kind of helped a little bit with the troubleshooting, but this all falls on our VPs. They did a great job with what they, you know, given the time that they had to adapt this usually 2.5 hour long banquet, glam banquet, they had to put into a slideshow. And I think they did a great job. I really do. I really appreciate them doing that. I can't imagine having to pull all that off on the internet. But with the contest over, that means that score sheets are starting to come in. I've gotten all mine. They all should be out, actually. If you're a member of OWFI, you should have gotten all of yours. And again, the OWFI team did a phenomenal job of getting these out in a quick manner. With the joy of winning, and I was just astonished enough to walk away with 3. There is also the agony of defeat. So even though I walked away with 3 prizes, I entered 26 categories. There were many, many more that I did not win. And some of them scored just downright low. And so my critique group and I went through the three stages of feedback. And, at first we were a bit disheartened. And that stage one, that whole disheartened part, it fades over time. So we didn't stay in that stage for very long. We moved right onto that anger stage pretty quickly. So yes, we definitely did our complaining, but then we stopped and we took a few notes. And you know what we did after that? We threw them away. Yeah. So why? Because the critique part is actually a big bonus of this contest, getting that feedback. Because a lot of times you enter a contest and you don't hear anything other than no, you didn't win or yes, you did win. So this feedback is a big part of this contest, and it can be worth its weight in gold, but it can also be the gold brick that sinks you to the bottom of the literary ocean. As I said before, it takes guts in this profession, and it is not an easy profession. It is not a get rich quick profession, and there will be bad reviews, whether it's contest feedback or book reviews. Leaving that feedback on my computer, those OWFI score sheets on my computer, it was just a draw to stew in the negative remarks. And I know myself well enough to know that I would have mulled over that bad feedback, especially the stuff that did not make sense to me, instead of rereading the good feedback and the encouragement. For some reason, we as humans seem to focus on that negative stuff. Those 1-star reviews, that one-star review, I will reread and reread and reread and ignore all the other 5-star reviews. Doesn't make sense to me. We value so much the acceptance of our peers that we just seem to concentrate on that one person's non-acceptance, and then everybody else's love and support just kind of falls in the back. It gets muted by this one angry voice. And so I'm just trying not to let myself do that anymore. Last week was awful. Oh my gosh, you guys. Last week, I was ready to throw in the social media towel. I was ready to go full hermit last week. I was just done. Between my kids being absolutely insane last week, I'm not sure what was in the water there. But there were other things that happened outside that just really tore me up. And it was just hard. It was a hard week. But you know what? 2 of those people from my writing group, my critique group, they came up and they said, you know what? I understand how you feel. And they justified that what I was feeling was not wrong, and that it was okay. And I think right now, especially with this pandemic thing, we're all going through a lot of emotions, and sometimes it might not make sense to other people. But I just want to let you guys know that it's okay. Whatever you're feeling right now, it's okay. But I want to encourage you to not stew in the negative. Delete those critiques. I know you can't go and delete a Facebook review, a 1-star Facebook review 1-star Amazon review. I know you can't do that. But if there's something sitting in your inbox right now and it's nothing but negative, maybe it's hate mail, or maybe it's, a bad review, a notification of a bad review, or maybe it's a bad score sheet. I'm encouraging you right now to take the nuggets of gold and delete the rest so you don't drown under that brick. I'm going to choose to focus on news stories. So it's not easy. I got some low scores, guys. It's not easy. But I'm going to focus on those news stories that I get to write, because I am in the absolute best profession ever. I have the most awesome job. And so I get to tell people stories, and there is not enough negativity in the world to get me to stop doing that. Even if I never published another book, I will write until the day I die. So I hope that you'll focus on this gift of storytelling and not the negativity that can come with such a career, because it's hard out there. It really is. You kind of have to grow some thick skin for this job. But just remember, your stories matter. You matter. That's it for me today. I actually went over because I went on a rabbit trail. Part of my charm. I keep saying that. If you don't want rabbit trails, I guess this isn't the group for you, right? Anyway, I hope you guys have an excellent week. I know my week is already going better, even though I had to give the cat a pill this morning. It was humorous. Maybe I'll write a story about it. So for all you mothers out there, I hope that you have a fantastic Mother's Day. For you dads out there doing that job on your own, kudos to you. Happy writing, everybody. I will see you next week. Take care.